GibTalks, Gibraltar's public figures as you've never heard them before. Today featuring talks by Liam Byrne and Dr. Kat Aguilera.
We're about to hit the ground running with GibTalks 2026, and that was a very deliberate choice of words giving our next speaker. He has traded athletics for poetics. He used to run on the track, now he lays tracks. He used to run the 400 meters, now he prefers rhythmic meters. He used to dream of being Usain, and now you're going to listen to what he's saying. Ladies and gentlemen, Liam Byrne.
Wow. I'm barely saying most of the point. So good afternoon, everyone. We ended the morning session with a great talk by Peter Montegrifo about Gibraltar in the broader sense and where it fits into the big wide world and the way that the world is developing. And now we're going to narrow it down to a more personal story about how I became an adopted Gibraltarian and grew up here and how my life shaped. So we never know what's coming. Life is never planned, but there's always a goal. Huh? We're trying to achieve something in life. We're trying to make things better. And this is where you go, okay? So that's a little me there. And then there's a little map on the other side of the screen. And the reason for that is because, obviously, I was born in 1975 in South London. It was just a family of two. My mum, tender age of 18, had me, and we had to fend for ourselves in a dodgy part of London. Life was tough. And it was a case of, we've got to do better. I was born with a slight heart issue. My mum had her health problems too. And there was this place down south where they spoke English as well, but it was warmer. And by all accounts, the people were a lot nicer. So we took the plunge. I thought it was just a summer holiday. We traveled overland with a couple of ferries and a hydrofoil in between from London, close frontier, remember, back in 82. So to Algeciras, y de ahí cruzamos el estrecho a Tanger. I think we were there for a couple of days. I remember having mint tea in a terrace somewhere, very vague memories. And then the hydrofoil to Gibraltar. And I remember arriving, sunny, sea on either side of the berth where the hydrofoil moored up to. I think it was the old Monscalpe berth, so where the Customs Club is now. And yeah, I was just taking it all in. And it took us a while to settle down. I remember camping up the rock because we had no fixed abode. You know, we arrived with nothing. So we were camping up the rock, and then I remember camping at Miami Beach. And eventually, my mum started working in the dockyard as a laborer of all things. And she said, prior to that, she said, "Do you want to stay?" It's like, duh. Like, it's sunny, it's nice, you know, I was making new friends all the time anyway. I've always been quite outward, so that wasn't trouble for me. And yeah, so I enrolled in school at Governor's Meadow when it was at Grand Parade, started making friends instantly, and that's how the journey began, really. And obviously, I developed here, gradually assimilated the culture. My mum met my dad, Leslie, who's been a rock in our lives ever since. And we started our own family in Gibraltar. And you can see love and new beginnings. So there's a picture of me on the right with my two little sisters. Yeah, there was a time I had hair. Sigh. And then obviously we've got us in a slightly more mature state as a group there. So we've got my mum dead center, my dad. Then the posh blonde one is Asha Keeley, and then Shimali's on the right. She's the more down-to-earth one. They'd hate me if I said any of that, but they're not here, so I can say what I want. They're both doing great. They're both UK-based, both got successful careers, kids of their own, made me a proud uncle. So, yeah. And, yeah, so finally we had a larger family. It was no longer just my mum and myself. It was now I was part of a family, which was really important, that sense of belonging. But still, you know, life goes on, and I had to find my own feet. And as I got through school and I started running to build up my health, I became really involved in athletics. And athletics did so much for me. It gave me a sense of discipline. I hated school. I really hated school. Never really enjoyed academics. Even though all the teachers said, highly intelligent, disruptive, talks too much. So I needed an outlet, and sport was definitely it. And that gave me, I wanted to win. Everything I do, I want to win. Juego la tablita, quiero ganar. Tú sabes, everything's about winning. Mi mujer al revés, le da igual. She's like, she just wants the fun and to enjoy it. And she laughs at me for always trying to win at everything. But so it gave me the discipline. It taught me how to deal with adversity, because you don't always win. It taught me that hard work pays off. And so I worked really, really hard, and obviously I had to continue with my studies, managed to scrape through my A-levels. I went to the Island Games in 1993, representing Gib for the first time in 800, 400, and the 4x4. And the following year, I went to the Junior World Championships in Lisbon, and I earned a scholarship to what I thought was going to be the great beyond, a place called Morehead State University in Kentucky. Partially through government funding and partially through a university scholarship. Spent 4 years there. It was not what it was meant to be. I had a slight injury. The coach was terrible. It was a cross-country program. I wanted to run shorter distances. I wanted to run track. But I made lots of friends. I got to learn about a new culture because I wasn't in the cosmopolitan part of the US. I was in small town America. And it's very, very different to what you see in the movies. But I learned a lot, made lots of friends, some who I still hold close to today. But I didn't stay because it wasn't, for me, the best experience that I wanted in terms of where I wanted to go in my life. So I came back, and it was like, well, now what? And I was contemplating different careers. I was thinking of doing a PTC. I applied, it was too late. So I had to wait another year. And then one day I went training, and one of my co-athletes said to me, hay vacancia de bombero. ¿Quiere aplicar? It's like, en la vida voy a entrar con lo de gente que quiere ser bombero. Y fue la primera vez que salí a la calle. So I was like, well, okay, let's go for it. Total, nothing to lose. And if I don't get it, well, I mean, I'll either go back to the States or I'll go off to the UK again and me busco la vida. And I got in. 500 applicants, 5 of us got in first time, and 26 years later, I'm still there. So, although I'm not going to lie, there was a time that I felt like leaving. I didn't quite fit in at the beginning, and I was really considering moving on. But I met Nicole, and yeah. I wasn't going anywhere. Pero, no, to be honest, it gave me focus. It was a game changer for me. I really had to now knuckle down. Nicole had 2 beautiful boys who I took on as my own, love them to bits. And then a couple of years later, we had our own together. And I said, I've got to do what's best for the family. So I knuckled down. Después de estudiar un degree, tengo que estudiar otra vez para subir. So I worked really hard. I made a career in the fire service. I'm close to retirement now, but I made it as a station officer in fire safety. I enjoy my career. I enjoy what I do most of the time. And yeah, so that changed my life a lot. But at the same time, what happened was, obviously, once you've got kids of your own, you realize that there are other questions that remain unanswered. And as I mentioned earlier on, it was just my mum and I. And obviously, there's 50% of that genetic material that I didn't know about. So I said, let's find out. And with support from my mum, support from my wife, and even probably more importantly, support from my dad, okay? Because he's the one who raised me, and he's forever be my dad. And as my youngest says, Grandpa Leslie, irreplaceable. We went on this journey of discovery. And through a TV program called Long Lost Family, I was like, no, porque hay un programa, me dice mujer. I'm like, no tiene ni chance. It's okay, Jerry Springer. No way. But she showed me an episode. It was quite tasteful. So let's go for it. It's probably the only hope we've got. And we went for it. I said, there's no way. Within a week, I got a call that we're interested in the story, a couple of interviews, and a little bit of information, just the name and the last place of work. And they found him. they found him. And yeah, it was a lot to take in because I was ready for the rejection and it was open arms. And I met my biological father, I met my brothers, sisters, nephews, nieces, aunts, uncles, and they're all like, welcome to the family. I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, so all of a sudden I was expected to like take on this full, and it's like a really close, clingy type situation. They always want to communicate, and I'm just not like that. So it was really difficult for me to adjust to that situation. But at the same time, it was really, really nice to find out that there is a whole other side of you. And I think the combination of that was when I went, I failed to mention that obviously that side of the family is Egyptian. Hence the Prince of Egypt standing up here. See the resemblance from the country. So I went, and the combination of that was traveling over to Cairo, 2017, I think. Dates could be wrong. And I met my paternal grandmother, Mama Situ, who passed away the following year. And that was a really touching moment because there was a bond straight away with her, probably more than anybody else in the family, and sin depreciar a nadie. She didn't speak a word of English. I don't speak a word of Arabic. So the conversations were non-existent. But there was a bond, and she was a beautiful, loving lady. And the only thing that was translated is, I can't believe I've had a grandson for over 40 years, and I've never met him. How dare you keep him from him? And it's like, well. But no, it was good, and it definitely gave me the closure that I needed. And talking of closure, back in 1999, I went to Sevilla to run the World Championships. And I wasn't allowed to fly the Gibraltar flag. Fast forward 2018, I decided to give athletics another crack. I was coaching at this stage. I'm like, I'm going to go to the World Masters. Yeah, con 43 años, let's give it another crack. I felt good, denying my age, fighting the aging process, trained really, really hard. And just before we go to compete, we get news. No puede representar Gibraltar, no Gibraltar flags, no Gib kit. First thing I try to do, everyone says, we're boycotting. I'm like, no. Last time, I couldn't fly my flag. This time, I'm going to make a point. I'm going. And so we rock up the stadium. I had some friends within the Spanish Federation, obviously, because I'd been competing in Spain for a long time. And they said, bueno, put the vest on, Avesita, dejan entrar. Put the vest on, I got stopped. Took the vest off, put the black vest on, you see there. Rebid the number. Donovan, mi cuñado, ¿tú tienes una bandera? Sí, tráemela. So he runs down, this small flag scrunched up, gives me the flag. I stuff it down my sprinter shorts. Rush out. A sus puestos. Pah! Start running like crazy. Adrenaline pumping, because obviously I was up to shenanigans. And, crossed the line, I think, third in the heat. Made it to the semi-finals of the World Championship, so good for me. And then I realized I got through, crossed the line, pulled up the flag, kissed the flag, held it aloft to the crowd. Everyone goes crazy, because estaba toda la familia entera ahí. And una pila gente más that were there as well, supporting the cause, because obviously they'd found out about this. It was in the press. Lo and behold, this is on the television, UK press, Hong Kong press, Canadian press. I'm like, really? And I didn't do it for the attention. I just did it because I hate bullies, and I hate being bullied, and I hate the fact that we're always, being stepped on. And I thought, you know what, this time I'm going to stand up for what's right. And what made it really, really matter was when I came back after that. By the way, I was terrible in the semi-final. The adrenaline was gone. It's terrible in the semi-finals. I got kicked out. Forgot to eat contra la nervio. Terrible. But digressing. I get back, and for the next couple of months, I just got random people walking up into the street saying, thank you. Thank you por hacer lo que hiciste. ¿Lo qué? No, lo de la bandera. Like, I'm like, no. I know, thank you for appreciating it. And then it felt so much to me because, it meant so much to me because I realized that it meant so much to everybody else as well. That we had stood up and we said, look, today we're going to be counted, no? And that's my message. Always stand up and be counted and represent what you believe in. So before I run out of time, ahora qué? Close to retirement and all these different things that I could do. My wife says, you go into teaching. Sería bueno. I can do coaching professionally. Sería bueno. A ver, que soy un suiza, mi life aquí. I suppose what it boils down to, once I do retire, lo que quiere ser ella, no? So without further ado, I want to say a big thank you to Gibraltar for helping shape my life, for taking me in as one as your own. I hope I've been able to repay that loyalty that you've shown me with the loyalty that I've given you. Y que me quedan muchos años más aquí con ustedes. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Liam Byrne.